In this video we have two exponential equations and we want to give exact solutions and approximate solutions. Now let's look at the first one. And always look for obvious solutions if there is any. Notice for this one, if I let x be 0, I get e to 0. And then the second one here, e to 0. E to 0 is 1, so it's 1 and 1 is 2 divided by 2 gives me 1. So I know that x equals 0 is a solution. There could be others, so I'm going to multiply it by 2. Always want to get rid of the fractions if possible. And this one I'm going to multiply also by e to the x. Let's multiply through. So multiplying by 2 e to the x, we'll cancel this 2 here. And then I'm going to get it e to the x, give me e to the 2x. And then for the next one it'll be a plus. The 2's already canceled out. I get e to the x times e to the minus x. At the exponents I get e to 0, that's 1. And then on the right side, of course, 2 e to the x times 1 is 2 e to the x. Let's collect our terms. We have e to the 2x. Bring this over, changes the sign. We get minus 2 e to the x and a plus 1. And that's equal to 0. Now if you wanted to, you could use a u substitution. Let u equal e to the x. Because e to the 2x can be written as e to the x squared. And that would be a u squared minus 2u plus 1. And you could solve it for u and then make the use a substitution u equal e to the x. But don't need to do that here because I'm just going to leave it the way it is. It's in quadratic form. Because e to the 2x can be factored into e to the x and e to the x. And this will be a minus here, and a minus here. Factors of 1 are 1 and 1. So notice that checks out. E to the x times e to the x gives me e to the 2x. Minus 1 times minus 1 is a plus 1. And then multiply these inner terms and the outer terms here. We get minus e to the x, minus e to the x, or minus 2 to the x. Minus 2 e to the x if you combine. So set each factor equal to 0. For the first factor, that will give me e to the x is equal to 1. The second factor is exactly the same, so it's going to give me e to the x is equal to 1. E to the x is equal to 1, so what is x? What power do we need that to get a 1? And this should be e to the x equal to 1 here. This should be 1 also. And the only value that will work there is 0. So x equal to 0 is the only solution for this one. So we don't need an approximation here. And notice on the second one, if I let x be 0, I get e to the 0 plus e to the 0. That's 1 and 1. It's 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Doesn't give me the 3, so that's not going to work. So in this one again, I'm going to multiply by 2 e to the x. So multiply through there. The 2's will cancel on the left side. And I'll get e to the 2x. But I multiply there by e to the x. And then e to the minus x and e to the x and e to the 0, which is 1. Okay, and then we're going to multiply the next one here. Give me 6 on the right side, 6 e to the x. Let's collect our terms then. I've got e to the 2x there. Bring this over to this side. Be a minus 6 e to the x plus 1. Again, I could use this as a quadratic because I could let u equal to e to the x. So this first term would be u squared. Because I square the e to the x, I get e to the 2x. And this would be u. So this would be u squared minus 6u plus 1. And I could solve for u. But I'm going to leave it in that form. But just so it makes sense, I'll write it in quadratic form. So this would be a square here. Minus 6 e to the x plus 1. And of course this side here is 0. I took the 6 e to the x over. So I got a quadratic in e to the x. The coefficient of the square term, which would be e to the x here, is equal to 1. We're going to use the quadratic formula because this one doesn't factor, like the first one. And the coefficient of the linear term here is minus 6. So b is equal to minus 6. And then the constant term, that's 0 there, c equals to 1. So we're going to use the quadratic formula. But the variable here is e to the x. Instead of an x or a u, I'm going to have e to the x is equal to, and the quadratic formula is minus, and the b is minus 6 here. Got a 1, b minus 6, and c is 1. So for the quadratic formula then it's minus b, but b is minus 6, so that'll give me a 6 here. And then it's plus or minus the square root of b squared is minus 6, so this will be 36 here. And it's minus, so let's say minus 4 ac. A is 1 and c is 1. So I get this, and then it's over 2 times a. A is 1, so this will be 2. This will equal to 6 plus or minus the square root of, that's 36 minus 4 is 32 over 2. And that's equal to, and 32 is 16 times 2. So we can take the square root of 16, that's 4, so that comes outside the radical. And the 2 stays under the radical. And that's over 2. Then we can divide here, reduce it down. 2 goes into 6, 3. 2 goes into 4, 2. So for e to the x, we get 3 plus or minus 2 times the square root of 2. But remember, we want the value of x. So we can set it up this way. E to the x then can be equal to, let's take the positive root here first, could be 3 plus 2 times the square root of 2. Or e to the x could equal to 3 minus 2 times the square root of 2. Okay, so for this one here, we take the natural log of both sides. You can take the log with any base, but it's more convenient to use the natural log because you have the exponential right here. And the natural log of e to the x is just x. Taking the natural log of both sides, on the left side I get x, on the right side I get natural log of 3 plus 2 times the square root of 2. And that's an exact answer. And then for this one, again, natural log of both sides, natural log of e to the x on the left side is just x. I'm taking the natural log on the right side, will give me the natural log of 3 minus 2 times the square root of 2. Now had this been a negative number, this is positive because 3 is larger than 2 times the square root of 2. If this had been negative, then this part of it would have no real solution. So you only have the first part. So these are the exact solutions. And then you can use your calculator. Take the natural log of 3 plus 2, the square root of 2. And this comes out to 1 decimal 763. Use your calculator again. Natural log of 3 minus 2 times the square root of 2 would give me a negative 1 decimal 763. And there you have it here. Exact answers, and right below are the approximate answers to 3 decimal places. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.